Alright guys, Mouse here and welcome to another Guild Boss video. I'm so fucking tired. I've been testing a lot since the patch, and in this video I'm gonna share with you guys something very important, very crucial. A lot of you guys have been asking this. So as you may have noticed, I have a pretty decent score here. 2.1 billion on Chahe, 1.2 billion on Mireille, 1 billion on Gogunhi. But this video is not about any of the strats or anything. This video is about something that a lot of you guys have been asking me, which is, as you may have noticed here, I used Anna Ruiz and I already got a chance to test the weapon and I have the numbers. Although it's not something that's scientific, it's gonna give you a rough estimate on how Anna Ruiz impacts the overall damage in the guild boss, how the weapon overall impacts the damage on the guild boss, and not only that, we also tested Choi Jong-in's weapon and how they all stack together. And in this video, I'm also gonna share with you guys what to do and when to use these and when not to use these. And I'm just gonna share with you guys the test results because it would be crazy if I'm not sure everything. We're kind of short on time. Let's make this fast as we can. I'm not gonna show the stats anymore. This video is not about that. If you're curious about the stats, make sure that you're subscribed because I do post guild boss videos regularly whenever we achieve something, whenever we discover something. So make sure that you're subscribed. For the stats, for the overall setup, this video is not going to be about that. We will only focus on this because this was released in the current patch, wherein it decreases the target's defense by 10% for 5 seconds when poison shower hits. So I'm not sure, well, I haven't tested the damage of this in actual yet, like individually, only in the guild boss. But I already tested this in other monsters like POG, of course in the guild boss as well. And the defense decrease icon is different from Choi, different from the Shadow Step as well. So we're just assuming that they do stack together. And I think it stacks. I think it would make sense that they stack together. Although probably I will just test this in another video to see the exact numbers individually because actual combat is going to be different from this alone. And the reason is that this one is activated only when the poison shower hits. Okay, and poison shower has a cooldown which is 8 seconds, and the duration of the defense decrease is 5 seconds. So there's gonna be a downtime, I feel. And also, of course, to those of you who don't know, Anna Ruiz has the defense decrease debuff, which also stacks with Shadow Step. We already have an in-depth video on this, on how these defense decrease stacks as well as the defense penetration in one of our videos. So if you're curious, you guys can check it out. And just to give you a quick summary, as you stack more defense decrease on the enemy, the damage increase grows exponentially. So in itself, like for example, you add 10% only, it's not gonna be that huge. But if you stack it together with Shadow Step, with Choi's weapon, and everything, that's where it's gonna be a huge thing. So again, we're not gonna show any runs. I'm just gonna show you just straight up what I found out. There's a lot of RNG factor when it comes to doing damage tests, but at least here, I think it would make sense. So let's just check it out here. But before that, guys, we still have codes to give away to our supporters. If you love what we're doing and if you want these codes, make sure to support us in the Netmarble Content Creator Program. That would help me a lot in my content creation. Thank you so much. Okay, back here. The first thing we tested is the base one, wherein we did not use Choi. As you can see here, we did not use, well, we used Choi, but we did not use Choi's weapon. And we did not use Anna Ruiz. So by removing Anna Ruiz here, we're gonna know exactly how much damage she contributed after the run. Okay? And from the damage test, here's what we got. We've got 4.1 4.74 billion, 4.094 billion, and 4.273 billion. So the method that I'm going to be using here is that we're going to check the damage, the total damage, of course, and Chahe-in's damage, and probably Min's damage, because Chahe-in and Min's damage are kind of more consistent in a sense compared to Mirai, because Mirai has some kind of a MP thing, like the MP mechanics. So we're just gonna focus on Cha, and we're following the same routine here as much as possible. We're hitting all the ults properly with the Moon Shadow with manual ult. I've shown that in the video how I do that as well. So if you guys have tested that as well, you guys know that it's pretty much mostly always gonna be the same run every single time. Okay, the RNG factor, of course, is gonna be different. There's gonna be a slight difference, but the average, like if you run this hundreds of times, you're gonna see that it's pretty much gonna be the same most of the time. So this is our base damage here, without any of those defense decrease. On the Shadow Step plus Bloodlust, by the way, forgot to mention, this is Bloodlust Legendary, so that's 12% defense decrease. So 72%, 60 from Shadow Step, 72% from the Bloodlust. No, so second thing we tested Choice Weapon. Okay, we just added Choice Weapon basically, and we got 4.663 and 4.752 billion. And look at Chahe-in's damage, it's skyrocketed to 1.9 billion here. So if we compare it here, we can immediately see the difference, like on Chahe-in, on pretty much everyone here. So at least we now, I'm gonna give you guys a summary of this later on in the conclusion part. We've got significant damage increase. That's a lot for a single weapon to be able to provide to the team. So I could understand why Choi's not dealing DPS, because if we add huge amounts of DPS on Choi and he can like contribute this much damage, again guys, this is not his damage, but this is the damage that he enables on the team. Okay, so that's big in itself in terms of the guild boss. Of course, in other game content, that's gonna be underwhelming, but here the guild boss, it's so huge. Test number 3, I removed Choice Weapon again, so it's gonna be 0, so it's just the default 72% defense decrease. And here's Anna Ruiz setup. Destroyer set for fast defense decrease, and the grid set 4-piece here. Let's go ahead and check the results. We got 4.365. Yeah, 1.7 billion, around that number. So let's just focus on Cha. Min 19 billion. So 19 million. So our base is 4.0, 4.2, 4.1. Let's just say 4.175. Well, let's just take the middle one. So we notice an increase, of course, from, well, the damage of Anna Ruiz herself is just 22 million, and we got the additional probably around 200 million or 180 million total damage increase. So there is an impact with only with that poison shower skill. That's 10%, additional 10% defense decrease. And for the test number 4, we used Anna Ruiz, and then we added the weapon as well. So again guys, I do not change any other stuff here from other hunters. So here's what I got. The first one was weird. I'm not sure why. Probably it was Mirai having some difficult time in her life. No, I'm just kidding. But the damage of Chahe-in was consistent here. It's just that Mirai kind of underperformed here in this run for some reason. I don't know why, but the final score was a bit low for the first run, and it's just similar to what I got in my run without the weapon. But because it was weird, I had to repeat it again. The next 2 successful runs that I got are close. So 4.5 billion here. We got 1.821 on Chahe-in. That's an improvement, definitely. And then here 1.746 on Chahe-in and 4.5 billion. So if we compare it to the previous one, again guys, I'll just reiterate this, there's nothing fair here. Like, there is an RNG factor here that we like cannot control, okay? But by doing multiple runs, we're gonna see it anyway. So although it's not 100% accurate, we just need the idea. So it definitely had an increase here. If we take a look at this, I think it's fair to say, because this score is already far from like 4.365, that's 200 M plus. So if we compare it here with the Choi weapon that we tested, it's still lower. That's total of 20%, but it has a downtime. So there are options there that we can use, like V-reset maybe to cut off the downtime, but I don't know. I haven't tried that yet. It's just that we know that Choice weapon is still better in this case, in this particular case. Probably because Choice weapon is probably doesn't have as much downtime. So at least most likely it's working. If it's not working and this is just because of RNG, sorry in advance, but I do believe that it's working. For test number 5, what we did here is that we used Choi with his weapon, and we used Anna Ruiz, removed Anna Ruiz's weapon, and here's what we got. So that's 20% plus 10% from that poison thing. So I got 5.1 billion, almost 2 billion Chahi here, and 4.992 here. Just add 50 million on Cha. I was so tired trying to repeat and getting a secured, consistent run, and just add 50 M on Cha because I missed one shadow. I missed one moon shadow timing on the O. Like, I got 80 M instead of 130 M plus. So roughly 50 to 60 M. Still close though. So this is already a very huge increase, and like I said in earlier, the effect of defense decrease grows exponentially as we stack more of it. Okay, so for test number 6, we added Anna Ruiz's weapon, which is another 10%, but not a permanent thing. Well, Choice weapon has a downtime as well, but this one has a long downtime, 3 seconds. That's huge, and she has to cast the skill. Even so, we got a small amount of increase from here. Not as big as the increase we got by doing this, but we still did get an increase. So this is the last run on this lineup that I used. 2.1 billion on Chahe in. This is the setup. Okay, so 5.2, around 5.150 between to 5.2 billion. So sorry guys, I could not run this anymore because in order to get the 2 successful runs, I had to do lots of runs, because sometimes a unit dies, sometimes I miss the shadow step, sometimes I make a mistake. So I made sure that everything went as smooth as possible with the routine that we're doing, using the ultimate tactic to reset the boss's attack pattern. So from here, we're already seeing a good amount of increase from the base damage that we have, almost 1 billion or more than 1 billion already, with Choi and Anna Ruiz. Plus, of course, they have a damage output contribution as well. After doing this, I tested another run with a standard build with Alicia. And my Alicia dealt 674, removed Anna Ruiz, and just one run is all I need to know that this one is still much better than this. Only one run. Like the first minute, I've run this guild boss so many times. The first minute, I know already that this is gonna result to a better score. And here's why. So I just tabulated here. I just took if there are 3 runs, I picked the middle one. Again, nothing statistically no proper statistics here. We're just guesstimating. We don't have time for doing math, but at least we should just get the idea. So 2 runs, pick the higher. As simple as that. So I rearranged this with from lowest to highest total score. Of course, the base one has the lower score. Adding Anna Ruiz, we got 5% increase compared to the base one. And adding Anna Ruiz plus weapon, we got 8% increase in relation to the base damage that we have. Adding Choi weapon, we got 10% damage increase. And Choi, A5 Choi weapon plus Anna Ruiz, we got 22%. So from here, we can already see that the increasing part, because when we added just 10% from Anna Ruiz, we got almost double the amount of value that we got from Choi, which is 20% pretty much. And of course, Anna Ruiz has a bit of damage, 20 million, but that's insignificant when we're talking about 5 billions of damage here. So anyway, I added the A5 weapon afterwards to Anna. We only get 24 increase, which is just 2% from the previous one. And one reason that might explain this is because we already probably hit the 100%. If I recall correctly, I already tested the 100% defense decrease, and I did not see any damage increase beyond that with Baek Yunho, with the Choi weapon plus Anna Ruiz back then. Okay, so I already tested that and did not work. So it's probably the case here as well, or maybe it's just because of the downtime of the weapon. I can't say for sure, but I have a good reason to believe that it's really because of the cap on the defense decrease. I don't think it's gonna go beyond that. We got the weird thing here, which is probably, like I said, this could be something, RNG, could be many cases, but afterwards we got an increase here. So I'm gonna tell you one thing when using Anna Ruiz is that it's so inconsistent, because number one, you have to stack the poisons, and sometimes it doesn't stack well. It doesn't stack as fast as it should have stacked. Sometimes it disappears because you have to inflict another one to extend the time, especially for the weapon. Sometimes the weapon debuff is not up, and I have seen my Chai-In's ultimate dealing less damage, and that could also probably the reason that might affect the damage output. So from this, we got increasing here, so can't conclude anything here, but at least we're seeing the pattern. It's improving. The damage is improving, definitely. Total damage. So for Min, kind of weird as well. I'm not sure what happened here too. So probably the pattern, whatever. So I cannot say much about what happened here, but the only thing I need to know here is that to confirm that we're seeing an increase. So you might be asking, well, Mouse, if there is a limit to 100% defense decrease, okay guys, I'm not 100% sure about that. I haven't done like the official test on that. So why is it that the weapon still had contribution? This is 10%, this is 10%, and this is 20%. So that's 40% plus the bloodlust, that's 22, that's 12%. So that is already 52% plus shadow step 112%, something like that. So one reason is probably because at the start of the fight there's no 10 stacks of poison yet, right? So we're only using Choi there, 20%. But if we add the A5 weapon, we can immediately proc that with one skill of Anna Ruiz. So that might be the reason. Again, might. I'm not sure about that, and I don't want to investigate that any further. Okay? We're just trying to make sense of what happened here. And the poison will only start somewhere around 20-30 seconds. So maybe we got an advantage there. And also, there is a downtime on this defense decrease. So they're not always up. So that could also be one of the reasons. So there are a lot of possible reasons here. But at the end of the day, we got a small increase. Did not see like an exponential increase by adding that. I'll actually summarize it here. So if you already have an A5 Choi weapon and you add Anna Ruiz, here we got the 347 total damage with this lineup. I got that with this lineup, and probably lower if you are using like a weaker units. But anyway, 7% increase. Okay, so A5 Choi and Anna Ruiz plus add A5 weapon 445 million, 9.36% increase from A5 Choi. This is from A5 Choi. And the reason why I took this specifically is because this is where we will base our decision upon. So let's say, for example, I do have an Alicia who can deal 600 million damage, and my A5 Choi plus Anna Ruiz and plus A5 weapon can only give me 445 million, or maybe even 500 million, even 550 million damage. That lineup, when if I swap Alicia out, then it's not gonna be good. And which is why I tested this, and I think I think it makes sense. Already made sense here. I don't have to repeat this. I think this is really the legit score that I can get with this lineup, and probably I can do the same thing with Charlotte as well. Now, to answer the question, is the weapon worth it? If you are already using A5 Choi and you're planning to use Anna Ruiz plus the weapon, I don't think it's going to be worth it. If you don't have the Choi A5 weapon, you should use that. This is a huge increase. Even just the A5 Anna Ruiz weapon plus Anna Ruiz, 8.65% increase. This is a good alternative, pretty decent alternative already, because you're going to have to spend like 20 or 24 fucking red tickets, red design, to make choice weapon A5. And if you're at A3, probably this might, I haven't tested, but they might be on par. Okay, if you only have A3. Is adding Anna Ruiz worth it? If you're, well, again guys, this is not 100% accurate. This is just an estimate. But if your damage, for example, is 3 billion, like, just test it. Remove the one unit, remove Alicia, remove Anna Ruiz from the team C, for example, and get your damage. Let's say you got 3 billion. Just try to add 7% increase on that, and that's around 210 million, I think. So if that 210 million, for example, is lower than your unit that's supposed to be there, then don't use it. If it's higher, then you can use it. Just take note that this is only for the support setup. The DPS setup is different. They work different. Okay, yeah, that's gonna be it for this video. Hope this clarified something. Hope this gave you some ideas. Hope this would help you in your decision. Again, disclaimer, this is only on my account. Some of these numbers might not apply to you. This will not apply to every situation. Just test things yourselves. At least I already did a run, so I guess at least for my account, I won't use Anna Ruiz this time around. Or maybe I will use it if my Mirei and my Chahein and my Gogunhi and the rest of my team will be able to have an increased damage, have more damage to get more percentage that will beat my Alicia. But my Alicia doesn't have a proper core yet, so it will still improve. And in that case, right now, I guess I wasted my resources here, but that's not too bad because I was able to get information and share it with you guys. So yeah, see you guys on the next one.